From my home to yours, all the very, very best, my friend. I wonder if we could turn our attention to one of the most interesting passages in the New Testament. The Apostle Paul makes reference to a thorn in the flesh. Curious? If not, no worries. Let us know how we can pray for you. Just post your prayer needs on the page before you slip out. But if you can stay around, I'm thinking I'm going to need about 6 or 7 minutes of your time. I don't think I'll need more than that. I do think it'd be worth the effort. The scripture says this: "There was given to me a thorn in my flesh, a messenger of Satan to torment me. 3 times I pleaded with the Lord to take it away from me. But he said to me, my grace is sufficient for you. My power is made perfect in weakness." My Bible's open to 2 Corinthians chapter 12, 7 through 9. A thorn in the flesh. That's such vivid imagery. The end of the thorn pierces the soft skin of life and lodges beneath the surface. And every step is a reminder of the thorn in the flesh. Do you have one? Do you have a thorn in the flesh, a cancer in the body, a sorrow in the heart, the child in rehab, the red ink on the ledger, the felony on the record, the craving for whiskey in the middle of the day, the tears of sorrow in the middle of the night, the thorn in the flesh? Take it away. Take it away. You've prayed and pleaded, not once, not twice, not 3 times. Maybe you've outprayed Paul. He prayed a sprint. You've prayed a Boston Marathon. And maybe you feel like you're about to hit the wall at mile 19. And this wound, this thorn in the flesh radiates pain, but you see no sign of tweezers coming from heaven. But what you hear is this: my grace is sufficient for you. God never promises to remove all our pain during this life, but He promises us an umbrella of grace to sustain us and save us in the next. Karl Barth planted his flag on this promise. Some have called him the finest theologian of the century, adding even more credence to this, one of my favorite quotes. He says, "I have written many books, some quite large. I will freely and frankly and gladly admit that these 6 words, 'My grace is sufficient for thee,' say much more and much better things than all the heaps of paper with which I have surrounded myself. When my books are long since outdated and forgotten, and every book in the world with them, these words will shine in everlasting fullness. My grace is sufficient for thee." Sufficient. We fear the antonym, insufficient. We've seen the words insufficient funds. We offer prayers wondering if we will run out of strength. We have insufficient strength. Maybe God's balance has insufficient kindness. The scripture says that'll never happen. Think of it this way. Suppose you have an 8-year-old son who loves to adventure. He loves to ride his bicycle, and he's been prone to venture beyond the permitted boundaries. On a given Saturday afternoon, your phone rings, and you hear his tearful voice. "I'm lost. I don't know how to get home." You learn that he's not only lost, he's been lost for hours. "Why didn't you call sooner?" you ask. His answer: I didn't know if you would rescue me. I don't know where I am, and my bike is heavy. And even if you could, I didn't know if you would. After all, I disobeyed you." What would you tell him? "Can I come for you? Can I help you? Can I carry your bike? And would I? Haven't I proven my love to you? Meal after meal, night after night, hug after hug. Why would you doubt the sufficiency of my love?" Friend, why would we ever doubt the sufficiency of God. The scripture says he supplies seed for the sower. He supplies bread for good. This Greek verb for supplies pulls back the curtain on God's sufficiency. It's a great word. It combines dance with the verb lead, as if to say God leads the dance. When God gives, he dances for joy. He does a jig. He strikes up the band. He leads the giving parade. He loves to give. Friend, his joy knows no bounds because his storehouse knows no scarcity. There is sufficient grace. There is grace to go around. Plunge a sponge into Lake Erie. Did you absorb the water? Fill your lungs with air. Did you suck all the oxygen out of the atmosphere? Pluck a pine needle from a tree in Yosemite. Did you deplete the forest of foliage? Take your sin, your sin-riddled, troubled heart to God. Will he throw up his hands? Will he walk away? Never. My grace is sufficient. God has enough grace to save and keep saved every sinner that has ever sinned, love and keep loved every prodigal that has ever strayed, dry and keep drying every eye that has ever wept, direct and keep directing every person that has ever journeyed. His grace is sufficient. That's what Paul discovered. And when he asked for God to remove the thorn, God said, my grace is enough for you. And in the end it was. And in the end that was okay with Paul. And in the end, may that be enough to satisfy our hearts as well. All the best to you.